hashtag not a major like that. All right, well, that would have been kind of cool if that was what the truly major scale is, but the major scale is more key related. Major, minor, seventh. But it really was fun to talk in that voice, and I really would have liked to be a drill sergeant, and then... Oh, sorry, I got off on the tangent there. All right, anyway, we're back. Burl's back. We're going to play the major scale today. Why do I need to learn scales, Burl? I hate scales. Well, if all you were doing was sitting here on the bass and playing a scale, I would agree that that's pretty boring. However, the scales that you're going to learn on this, especially the major scale, everything else is derived off the major scale. It's going to really help you play no matter what type of music you play, because everything we play is based off of scales, whether it be the major, the minor, or the seventh scale are the major ones. So I know it's boring. I know it's like, oh my God, it's music theory. I don't want to learn that. But trust me on this, it will help you in your playing and it will take you to that next level that you want to be. So what I've had Pearl do is I've had her put together a picture of what a major scale looks like on a bass fretboard. Okay, so that was a picture of what it looks like. Here's what it looks like on a bass. So let's start in the key of C. Easy key. Even if I didn't know what pattern or what it looked like on a bass, I could probably figure it out because no sharps, no flats. So I'm going to go C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Going down C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. Okay, here's where it gets interesting. Key of C, pretty easy key. Even like key of D, some other keys like, okay, well, if I'm in the key of C, I know I should only play like E's and G's and A's and C's. That's all great. Now what if I get into some weird scale like, okay, I want to play today in the key of F sharp. Oh my God, how many sharps or flats are in the key of F sharp? Quite honestly, I have no idea. And you know why I have no idea? Because for a bass player, really actually doesn't matter all that much. If obviously if I'm learning a song, I'm gonna play it professionally. I'm gonna know sharps and flats, and because I'm gonna be all over the fretboard. However, if I start off on the root of an F sharp, to play the F sharp major scale is gonna be the same pattern as the C sharp scale: root, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. Down, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What I'm learning, what I'm teaching you is something we're going to deal a lot more with later on called intervals. And an interval on a bass is always going to be the same. In a major scale, if I'm looking for the interval, and let's go to the key of E just to be different, because I know the E major scale looks like that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If I'm in the key of E and I want to play the third of the scale of the key of E, I don't have to hunt around like, okay, let's see, E, is it F or is it F sharp? I think it's G sharp is the third, and so I'm looking around for the G sharp. I don't have to do that. Because I've learned my scales, I can pretty much tell you immediately. If I'm here, I may not even know what that note is. Really, if I'm just jamming around, I don't really even know what that note is, because I'm just goofing around. But if I want to get to the third, I know I played 1, 2, 3. So it's just, that's the advantage of knowing scales. I could play the third, I could play the fifth, I can play the octave, and they're always going to be in the same place. And that's because the form of the major scale never changes. In the beginning, I had Pearl put up a PowerPoint which showed a bass fretboard, and it showed you the pattern. You're like, well, is that the only pattern for one scale? No, that is a pattern for every major scale. Now, I'm going to caveat that. That's on the A string and the E string. Once we get up here, if we're starting with a root on the D string or the G string, we're going to have to do much more climbing and know our intervals. But a lot of times on the bass, if we want to do a scale, we can start down here, either on the A string or the E string. And no matter where we start, the interval between the notes is always going to look the same. So the interval between the root and the second, second and the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. That's going to be the same as if I'm there or as if I'm down in C. C, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So for your practice time, what I really want you to spend time doing is memorizing what that pattern looks like. Because again, if I can have Pearl show you on the keyboard over there, when you're playing, quite often all you're going to get is a chord chart. And the chord might say D7 or C minor 7. Those all mean different things, but they are pretty much types of scales or types of chords in this case. And a chord is just certain notes on the scale, and we'll learn all that later. But you're going to see that, and I need you to know what that scale looks like. So today we're talking about the major scale, and it's just going to be this pattern. Bum, 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 bum. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, should you be spending 14 hours a day memorizing how to play every scale and every note and every scale? If you're going to be a professional bass player, yeah, you probably want to do that. If you just want to putter around with your friends and maybe learn some jazz or some blues or rock or pop or whatever you enjoy playing, quite honestly, as long as you can figure out what that scale looks like, because it's going to be the same pattern, regardless of what chord you're in, you'll be totally fine. Even if you don't know the exact notes, as long as you know their relation to the root note, you'll be fine. Quick tip out there, because you'll hear a lot of people say, I don't like to play open strings. I don't like to play these. Well, there's a lot of reasons for that. You know, they say like, oh, I don't want to play open strings because a lot of times it's hard to get them to stop, so they're kind of like, ah. So a lot of people don't like the open strings for that, and I'm okay with that. But you know, you can control it, but there's some people who don't like the sound of it. Here's why, from a scale perspective at least, you don't want to play an open string, at least in the very beginning. Because if I'm in the key E up here, I know what that scale is supposed to look like. However, if I am in the key of E and I start down here, I can go here, I can go here. Uh-oh, I'm looking for the -1 fret. Where's the -1st fret? It's much more difficult for my scale because it changed my whole pattern because I started on an open note. You know, here I've started here. The third is 1 string up, 1 string over. If I'm playing an open string, 1 string up and oh crap, there's no frets. Do I start over at the top? How does that work? So if you can, for practicing scales, this is just another reason to avoid, at least in the beginning, you know, depending on the type of music, but try to avoid open strings for the most part because they'll screw you up incredibly when you're trying to figure out patterns. So again, your practice time should just be, you know, 2 or 3 iterations through a couple different scales. And what you're going to find is after a while, that pattern is going to become second nature to you. You're not even going to have to think about it. It's just going to be something you automatically know. You're automatically going to know if I'm here, the 5th's here, the 6th is there, that's the major 7th right there, and I just messed it up because that's the 6th and that's the minor 7th. But anyway, it's kind of hard to talk and play at the same time. It's kind of weird that way. But anyway, what we're going to do in the next lessons is we're going to learn some derivations of the major scale, or different ways in different keys, because we can play in the 7th and we can also play in minor. Those are all going to be very, very, very close to the major scale. So if you learn your major scale and learn the pattern behind it, if we learn a minor and a 7th, guess what? Yeah, they're going to have patterns too. And they're going to be the same as the major scale in that no matter where I am on the fretboard, I can always play the same pattern and have the same scale. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to conclude by putting that PowerPoint back up so you see what that pattern looks like for you, and then go ahead and practice it a little bit. We'll review next time before we move on. But just go ahead and focus on that. Get your patterns down, get your forms down, and all of a sudden your bass playing is going to be like, oh, that's really simple. You'll get to the point where you don't even have to think about it. So until next time, signing off with the well-trimmed beard of believability, it's Burl. So take care and enjoy your playing. Thanks.